right, is the Detroit Lions playoff window closed? And I think it is. I don't think the Lions are gonna make the playoffs. I think I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. I see it. I think it's a step back year for the Lions. I know a lot of people may not agree with what I'm saying. Obviously, you're gonna play the Giants, the Packers, the Bears, the Rams, Dallas, and maybe another team in there. And really, the Eagles was really the mark of an end of a tough stretch. A tough stretch. That was the mark of that. You got Washington. You lost to Kansas City. You in the Minnesota and the Kansas City loss. I believe those was the differences right there. And one of the and one of the bright sides about my making the playoffs, you might be able to get a top prospect. You know what I'm saying? Trade down and do some things. And as of right now, I just don't really see them being a playoff team. I think the defense is really good. They're able to plug and play guys in there. And that's how it usually goes. When the offense is hot one year, next year, and the defense is off, next year the defense is hot and the offense is off one year. So was there some miscalculations about the offensive line? Maybe they should have brought back Seifert, kept Mahogany at right, put Graham Glasgow at center, and kept Ratledge, playing spot play. I mean, we can go into what ifs, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Excuse me, we can get into those, but yeah, I think they're gonna miss the playoffs. I think Green Bay is probably gonna find a way to win the division. I think Chicago's probably gonna get in there over us. I think Chicago's probably gonna beat us. I just think it's just too many injuries. If the Lions do get into the playoffs, it's just gonna be off the strain for the momentum of the defense. Getting Reed healthy, getting Terrion healthy. You know what I'm saying? Getting Kirby back. And I think them not really addressing that pass rush. You might get Pascal back and some of those guys back, but you might be able to, find your way in. But in reality, I don't think they're gonna. It's gonna be hard to get in. It's gonna be hard to get in, man, because right now the book is out on Jared Goff. You blitz him, the Lions can't pick up the blitz. He gonna throw the ball in the dirt. Right now they can't run the football. Is that gonna change? It's not gonna change. Even when Mahogany was in there, they were struggling to run the football. Laporta out for the next 4 weeks. You think about that fourth down play, Brock Wright is open. Does he throw the ball to Laporta? He look at Laporta first, if that's Laporta. So I think it's one of those years that missed the playoffs. And then going into the offseason, they got a lot of debt. They about projected to be $50 million over the cap, So there's some things that they got to clean up in the offseason. And they traded a lot of picks to get a lot of, over the last few years, to have developmental guys. And it's time for guys like Manu Giovanni. It's time for guys like Isaac Tesla. It's time for guys like Sonoy Vaki and some of these guys they picked up. I mean, even other guys in there like Miles Frazier. And it's time for them to pay their thing. But I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think, Stafford and them going to get down on them. I think they're going to probably lose to either two of these three games, Chicago, Green Bay, or Minnesota. They're going to lose two of those games. They're going to be they might be a 9-win team, maybe 9-win team. But I just, and people go, I told you Ben Johnson, and he had something to do with it. But Frank Ragnow abruptly retiring, which we already knew. He'd been talking about retiring for the last 2 or 3 years. So, and people say, well, their Super Bowl window is closed. And if it's closed, it's closed. It was a short window, but Brad Holmes has done a great job putting a roster behind him. And ultimately, what usually the difference between guys being in the Super Bowl and not being in the Super Bowl is the quarterback position. And you look at Philly, and it ain't that great, but they quarterback can run. So, honestly, when you look at the NFC, Chicago, even though they're playing a weak schedule, they find a way to win. I think Green Bay, the Packers, they're going to be there in the end. Tampa's going to be there. Probably not another team from the NFC South. Washington fell off. The Giants fell off. The Dallas probably won't make it, but, Philly will be there. So you got Philly, Tampa. I say Green Bay win the division. That's 3. And then you go down to the AFC West. You're probably going to get 2 or 3 teams from that conference. You're probably going to get the Rams, the Seahawks, and possibly the 49ers. So I said, man, I think when they missed that NFC Championship game, they missed the boat. And one of the major things is every year is just injuries. It's always injuries. Oh, if we was healthy, it's 2 Sunday nights in a row. If we was healthy, and we weren't healthy for Kansas City, and we got had a bad call. We weren't healthy versus Philly. People talking about the bad call, which I don't think really mattered regardless because they can't move the football, right? I mean, they couldn't move the football, but ultimately, I think they do miss out. Down that stretch, I don't like their chances. I just think the book is out on Jared Goff. The book is out. They can't stop the run. And I think one of the issues with the run game is they are transitioning to from David Montgomery to Jahmyr Gibbs. And even, Gibbs, even Montgomery in short yardage situations on the goal line and stuff, they have phased out David Montgomery, and those are his situations. Those are where he thrives at. And they said, well, we're giving those to Gibbs. We're making Gibbs our every down back. And now you see the importance of David Montgomery. Does Montgomery get pushed back on that 4th down call with that left guard, Ashaka, whatever his name is, got pushed? Montgomery probably powered through that. You give Montgomery the ball inside the 5, inside that 10-yard line on that 4th down call. You give Montgomery a couple plays, he probably get into the end zone. He moved mountains. He's a power back. So in power situations, it's a lot going on this offense. You got a head coach that blamed the offensive coordinator when it wasn't the offensive coordinator, it was the personnel. You had for years they had to know that they was getting rid of, Frank Ragnow can go at any time. They didn't prepare for that the right way, right? So it's issues in the front office, issues in the coaching staff, issues on the field. The coaching staff is saying, okay, let's transfer from Gibbs to Montgomery, even though both has been working for us. Let's give it to Gibbs, even in Montgomery's specialty spots, and it's fucking them over. Once again, every year it's the same shit as injuries, whether it's Laporta, whether it's Christian Mahogany, whether it's, Kirby Joseph, Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, whether it's Josh Pascal, Levi Anzarique, all guys that you were counting on to bring depth to the defense. Every year, the constant is injuries. That's one thing the Lions are going to deal with every year. Injuries. Miles Frazier, Mekhi Wingo. Every year, these motherfuckers be injured before the fucking training camp starts. They get injured before you get. Every year, it's the same old song. Marcus Davenport. And people going to be, I'm optimistic. Be optimistic about the Wings. Be optimistic about the Pistons. Be optimistic about them signing Scuba back with the Tigers. The Lions, they have some dysfunctional things that only can be addressed in the offseason at this point. That's it. They have some dysfunctional things that only can be addressed in the offseason. If they're going to continue to ride with Jared Goff, they have to plug the middle of the field. That offensive line I think it's time to move on. I think they need to start to prepare to move on, whether it's finding a way to get a quarterback this draft or get somebody established. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack when I say Kyler Murray. That's the only guy I can really think that's available. Unless you can do a Carson Palmer type of thing with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. You give up a king's ransom to get Burrow to come up to Detroit. I know he tired of that shit down there. Kirk Cousins is the same thing as Jared Goff. I know I'm crazy when I say Kyler Murray, but he might be available and they might do a Kyler for a Jared Goff swap. They might be willing to do it. I'm just saying, check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist, hit the link tree. Find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, the whole 9. Peace.